This top 10 fantasy football receivers and the football tournament edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code SGP for up to $1,000 in bonus bets. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SGP to play, win, and get paid. We're also teaming up with All Things Comedy to run back the 2019 NFL playoffs via Madden Sims and give away $10,000 in MyBookie credits. The tournament starts July 3rd. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/ATC for all the info. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/ATC. We're also brought to you by Ace Per Head. Ace is the leader in pay-per-head providers, and they make it super easy to start your own sportsbook. Plus, Ace is offering up to 6 weeks free over at aceperhead.com/SGP. That's aceperhead.com/SGP. Finally, we're brought to you by Cushy Dreams. Cushy Dreams is a new company with a full line of premium smokable CBD, now shipping legally to all 50 states. And if you use the promo code SGP, you get 15% off. That's KUSHYDreams.com, promo code SGP. Ooh, welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking that money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer Dog?
What's up, dude? I'm excited.
Why are you excited?
Just that sweet transition everyone watching on YouTube just saw was my first attempt at automation with the video shit, and it worked.
The CPU is enrolled in that processor.
You're getting automated. You're getting ready to go. This is our training camp, getting ready for the just the cavalcade. I don't know if that's
cavalcade.
Whatever. Just a tsunami of football content coming at you. This is, of course, part of our top 10 fantasy football preview series. And if that
Kickers, right?
Kickers and defense. Yeah, no, we're doing a top 10 fantasy football receivers. Maybe we do the kickers and defense. Tweet us at Gambling Podcast if you actually want that episode. Unclear if that's a punishment for the audience or a joke. I could give you a top 10 kickers and defense list. Maybe we will actually get to that, but we're going to be doing some more mock drafts coming up, doing some best ball breakdowns, and just getting knee deep in football content. And then NBA's coming back, so we'll be I'm sure we'll be picking some stuff there. We already
100%.
We did I know Kramer's against sports coming back. He's pro Corona.
That's not true. I'm not anti sports coming back. I just feel like you've been a bit optimistic, and we know what happens when you start counting your chickens before they hatch in the gambling world, Sean.
All right.
So you're like a man who enjoys a reverse jinx, like a man
you're
who
laying down the reverse jinx on Corona 19. I like it.
It's not even a reverse jinx. What I'm trying to lay down is like, I'll be stoked when it happens. That's all I'm saying. I'm obviously happy if sports come back. I don't know if you're aware of this, Sean. Our business relies around sports.
I did. And that's why I'm excited that they're coming back.
See, you're being optimistic again.
Well, yeah, they announced that they're coming back.
Soccer's back.
Soccer's back. Golf's back. MMA's back. Baseball's about to be back, which that's more of an activity than a sport.
The sports that real men play, they're back.
Yes.
We'll see if football comes back. See what I did there?
There you go.
I trolled you.
Gave yourself an out, Kramer. Well, you know what's definitely coming back? More giveaways. That's right.
What?
We're doing another Madden
way.
tournament. This time, teaming up with the guys over at All Things Comedy. Big fans of them. Of course, that's Bill Burr's podcast network with Al Madrigal. And they have a bunch of funny dudes over there. But we're going to be streaming these games on the All Things Comedy YouTube channel. We're running back the 2019 NFL playoffs. So maybe the Eagles have a chance to beat the Seahawks in this redo of the 2019 NFL playoffs. Hopefully, Jadeveon Clowney doesn't knock out Carson Wentz again.
Oh wow!
But the Eagles are bad in the sim world. But what the important thing is 10,000 in prizes. Of course, my bookie credits
10,000.
Oh my God!
Kicks off July 3rd, 5:00 Pacific. Schedule's kind of broken up through the month of July. If you want all the information, of course, enter the contest. The contest is a confidence pool style. So you assign, each team.
Love this.
Yeah, each team you assign a number to. Like, let's say you think the Chiefs are going to win, you give them a number 1 through 12. However, each win you get that many points. So if you give the Chiefs a 12, the Ravens an 11, the Ravens win 1 game, Chiefs win 2. The Chiefs would have 24. Ravens would have 11 points. So what you really want to find is those wild card teams that can win the Super Bowl.
What I was going to say, it's very similar to the great FFPC playoff challenge, where part of the strategy is how many games do you think this team will play? Obviously the teams with the buys, they get one less opportunity, but they're also the team you are most likely to think is going to win the Super Bowl. So love the strategy in there, Sean.
A lot of fun.
And by the way, we're not going to be like those lame stream houses playing with rosters from last, even though we're running back the playoffs from last year.
2020 NFL rosters.
Come on.
And it's going to be awesome.
Sean, who's got it better than us?
No one.
Nobody.
And of course, it's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/ATC. Go there to get your entry in, sign up. And again, all this presented by our good pals over at mybookie.ag. Promo code SGP, where you can play, win, and get paid. Perfect time to get in on the sim action. All right, Kramer, enough messing around. Let's get to it. Let's talk fantasy football wide receivers. Do you want to go first, Kramer? Why don't we'll kick you off first. Who is your number 10 fantasy football receiver for the 2020 season?
Well, and I wanted to have the mock draft up. I accidentally closed it, Sean, because we did a mock draft recently.
We did.
So I said, well, it'd be silly for me to be finalizing a list of top 10 wide receivers for this podcast when I should see what I actually did and what we actually did. A number of fans joined us to do this mock draft. And so I wanted who was the 10th receiver taken in this mock draft?
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, we had 4 in the first round. We had 3 in the second round. And then Allen Robinson was the 10th receiver off the board. Very similar to my list. Not a guy. We should talk about Allen Robinson first. I don't know if he's on your list.
He is.
Okay,
he's on my list, and he's a little higher.
We'll wait. My first guy, because I don't know what the situation is going to be in Carolina. I liked DJ Moore last year. I liked his potential, and when you sprinkle in the fact that this team could be losing a lot, I'm intrigued by DJ Moore here. This is now his third year. When do we typically see the wide receiver jump? Is this his third or second year?
I don't know. Before I start making my head, Kramer.
But he was a darling last year, and when you look at his stat, Sean, I'm guessing your puzzled look is this is his third year, where we like to see the jump. I'm guessing by your look, you're not a guy who has him in your list. And when you look at his numbers last year, 135 targets, 87 receptions for 1,175 yards, only 4 touchdowns. Right? Only 4 touchdowns. So that kept his point total low. But when you look at a guy getting 135 targets in 15 games on a team that was a complete disaster, they're going to be a little bit less of a disaster. They will at least know who their quarterback is, whether it be Walker, whether it be the Butler, or whether it be an unknown person.
Yeah. I'm almost certain they're going to start off with Bridgewater as their quarterback.
But what is Bridgewater's strength?
Checking it down,
not
turning it over,
but getting an easy throw to a guy who has athletic ability. DJ Moore is an intriguing guy to pair up with Teddy Bridgewater, because DJ Moore, he can run the short stuff nicely. He has the speed, but what was the thing about DJ Moore coming into the league? Polished route runner. So he's a polished route runner. You pair him with a very accurate quarterback. I love DJ Moore this year. 10 feels, I am probably going to end up, I think I even discussed this in the mock draft. I like DJ Moore. There was a guy I like more in the mock draft, more in the mock draft, but DJ Moore is a guy who could even go higher on my board. For now, let's leave him at number 10. DJ Moore, Carolina Panthers.
Wow. DJ Moore in full clarity. Not even a guy on my list, not even a guy considered top 10.
Not even in your, so just to be clear,
you made a compelling case. I think the biggest,
he was the 14th receiver drafted when we did the mock.
Yeah.
So not that far off.
Not that far off.
Third rounder. You're not getting him in the 4th round.
I would say my what I would worry about putting him in the top 10 is the Christian McCaffrey touches. And you said Bridgewater loves checking it down. I think throwing the ball to Christian McCaffrey they're going to pick up where they left off with Ron Rivera as far as getting him the ball in the passing game. And even though he can, at some point he's going to have some sort of regression, but I still think he's going to get a ton of targets.
Yeah,
that would be my concern on throwing DJ Moore in there.
That's a fair concern.
This guy at number 10, my number 10, 2020 fantasy football wide receiver Injury concerns always an issue.
Yes,
but assuming he's healthy, assuming he can play 16 games.
Are you going to say Deshaun Jackson?
No, I'm going to say T.Y. Hilton. He's in a dome with a great head coach in Frank Reich, and you're bringing in Phillip Rivers. If you look at Phillip Rivers' numbers, even when he's having not a great year, the number one receiver on that team always gets a ton of yards, a ton of looks. Phillip likes throwing to the number one receiver and the tight end. So I think T.Y. Hilton. And no, I feel like he's not on anyone's list, and maybe because they're scared off of the injury concerns. But I think he has huge potential. I mean, in 10 games he played, he still had 5 touchdowns, and that's with Jacoby Brissett, who is kind of injured. Like, they were doing nothing at the quarterback position. Maybe you think Rivers is gone, but I still think they're going to scheme up opportunities for T.Y. Hilton and that AFC South. The cornerbacks he's going up against. These aren't dominant defensive cornerbacks, and you're playing a decent number of games in a dome.
I have him as my 20th guy, Sean, full disclosure. And I just pulled 24th guy taken in the 6th round of the mock draft. So, if you like T.Y. Hilton, unfortunately in the past, he's been one of those guys that goes way too high.
Yeah. He's been a victim of that, where he goes way too high.
He's swinging the other way now.
Underperforms. You're right. And I think that's what it is. I think people are overlooking him, and he can give you that nice sort of boost. And some of these rankings, a lot of times, is an excuse to talk about guys that I think are deep sleepers, or guys who can really move the needle, who could. I mean, if you get him in the 6th round, 7th round, that's a guy that can, and he has like one of these top 5, top 10 receiver years, which he's certainly capable of. That's how you win your goddamn league, Kramer.
I agree.
Who's your number 9?
I agree. Well, Sean, what I was going to say is he's a guy too. Like I know that it's easy to caveat a guy like T.Y. Hilton, and perhaps it's just the curse of the wide receiver position. But there's a number of guys here you're going to hear us say, we like him. We like him even more in best ball. I probably like him closer to 10th in best ball just because of the upside. And not many guys in the league have 200-yard potential, and he's one of them. So
and best ball helps guard against the injury stuff as well.
Helps guard, but you're still like, where are you investing the equity? I guess in a guy like T.Y. Hilton. You like when I say equity?
Well, it just makes it sound so professional. Instead
number
of
9,
fucking around talking about fantasy football. Who's your number 9, Kramer?
People who have Odell Beckham out of their top 10 are insane. Period. I mean, I understand hating him, but again, your argument, if you're making the argument for T.Y. Hilton in terms of the pendulum swinging, the pendulum really last year is the outlier for Beckham. Last year is, and sure, perhaps, I'm already seeing people talking about, will Baker Mayfield get benched this year? and I think we've discussed this a number of times, but the fact that the organization is definitely going to be more stable this year than last year.
And why is that?
Because it was at the bottom last year.
Oh, okay. But what was the big move? They got rid of Freddie Kitchens.
So they have a guy in position who at least has a history of being successful somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think Freddie Kitchens, the problem with him was he had some success, but he had the success at the level of like one step above a player, not the head coach.
And I didn't put Beckham in my top 10.
Interesting.
The argument against him,
injury.
And I do hate Odell Beckham.
You do.
Injuries could be an issue, especially a guy who has a soft tissue injury issue. I think the weird off season, I'm looking to stay away from guys who've had hamstring, soft tissue stuff going on. But more so,
Sean hates the soft tissue.
More so, it's the unknown of the new system. Stefanski coming in, is he going to have time to install that? Clearly, there's not a great dynamic between him and Baker. Like, I don't, and maybe I'm wrong, but my gut's telling me they're not meeting up and putting in doing that off-season conditioning, getting together at Baker's place, throwing the football around, just getting on the same page. I just don't think they're going to be doing that stuff. And maybe Stefanski figures it out in the second half of the season. But I just worry about this Cleveland team in general. And I've had a rule of just not having a Brown on my fantasy football team for a long time. It's treated me well. And Jarvis Landry is pretty solid, but I get your case for Odell, but he's not in my top 10.
It's an upside case. And I think when we were talking about him as a potential early 2nd round pick last year, again, pendulum swung too far. Everyone was super high on this Browns offense.
Did you say where he got drafted in our mock draft?
I was about to say I took him in the third round. And I think if you can establish, if you can, I paired him with Davante Adams and Austin Eckler, but if you can pair, like if he's your second receiver, there's less risk there. You're not losing your draft in the third round anymore. And when you talk about a guy, again, not many guys in the league, much like T.Y. Hilton, have the explosiveness to really put up those massive games. And if this offense gets a little bit closer to where they were last year, sure, lots of mouths to feed. But if they can get back to where the hype was, or where the hype thought they were going to be, I think there's going to be opportunity here for Odell to have a pretty solid year. And if you look at, Sean, if you had to guess, how many yards did Odell have last year?
Well, I just looked it up, but it was like 450 or something. Or was I looking at the wrong column?
Wrong column. He had 1,035 on 74 catches and 133 targets. Now, I was just talking about DJ Moore getting excited about a line like that in his second year. Obviously, yet to be seen if OJB can be successful without a great Hall of Fame quarterback like Eli Manning. But I'm going to lean into it here. I think he just lets himself. He has to have eaten some humble pie too. Like there's that element to this.
I like your angle, but Odell Beckham eating humble pie. That's one thing he doesn't eat.
He hasn't been to the Pro Bowl since 2016.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of Odell Beckham. The results don't make a difference as to what he thinks.
Sean, but before it was 2017, he got hurt. Okay.
Yeah.
2018, the situation.
So
was
you think
fucked
he
up.
had a hard?
But he was still in New York. He's now in Cleveland, and it's like when you lose in Cleveland, he's realizing like, oh, this place really sucks. I'm telling you, Browns as a whole make a bounce back. OBJ, crazy to not have him in the top 10. I'm sure you don't, Sean.
Well, maybe he looked into the mirror in the offseason, but I don't think he was seeing his own reflection. He was seeing maybe a certain substance laid out on that mirror.
I was going to say
that's the Odell Beckham Jr. I know. My number 9, he's a beast, and this is it, he's just primed, juiced up for that breakout season.
Who's
and he's
that?
a guy you don't have to worry about his conditioning at all. DK Metcalf, number 9. Ooh. And again, maybe this is the hot take, but just from watching the 2 times the Eagles played the Seahawks, when Russell Wilson felt pressure, third down, he needed a big play. DK Metcalf was the guy he was going to, and especially as a rookie, Russell Wilson trusted him enough to target him 100 times. As a rookie, he got 58 receptions, 900 yards, 7 touchdowns. And we were playing him in DFS towards that second half of the season because he was really coming on late. He had that killer playoff game against the Eagles. I think he's going to be in prime physical shape. We've already seen the connection with Russell Wilson, and I think he's going to end up being the number 1 receiver over Tyler Lockett there for the Seahawks. And I think he's going to be a big value play as well, because I don't think his ADP is matching what he's going to put out there this season.
I like it. I mean, I think you're being aggressive.
I'm being aggressive, but he had 7 touchdowns, 900 yards, 58 catches.
Upside is there
for sure.
Upside is there. I think you're being aggressive.
Who's your number 8, Kramer?
So this is where we get hot take, right? And you're probably going to be pissed at me.
Hot.
You're probably going to be upset with me. I think maybe hot take. Courtland Sutton. Let's go.
Oh,
number 8.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my God.
I did consider Courtland Sutton, but then I took a step back and I
touchdowns. This is a touchdown play, just like Metcalf.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about how much I've already put out there in these preview podcasts about the Broncos, already throwing in Fant and Drew Lock there in the top 10s. So I stayed away from Sutton, but I'm super high on him as well. What do you like particularly about Sutton?
Well, I think it's the touchdown ability, and I think much like former host of Inside Vegas used to always tout with Courtland Sutton. Got to give him the nod here. He was into it. I think it's just that he controls his body well, and he's one of these receivers who came into the league, and the book on him is sure he has physical ability, but he knows how to run a route. And what's better to pair with a young quarterback who needs to have consistency, a guy who can run a good route and a guy who can help you out because he's just an absolute physical beast. Now they bring in Jerry Jeudy to confuse defenses a little bit more. Noah Fant is there to create havoc up the middle. And the running game, sure, Sean, the counter would be a lot of mouths to feed. And will this offense really be that good? Is the defense going to still be good? Will there be enough opportunity?
Well, but also the AFC West. Who are you worried about cornerback wise in the AFC West?
Thank you. Because when I look at the defenses across the rest of the division,
and maybe the Chargers end up having a decent defense, but it's less. It's more about that front seven than anyone on an island there.
And I think in general, you're going to have to score to win the AFC West this year. And I think what we see here is I think we see the emergence of a guy who's going to be a first round pick in 2021. Yeah. So I think Courtland Sutton at number 8. Sure. Is this maybe just me trying to ensure that I get him in a lot of spots? Absolutely. Let's see. Where did he go he went right after DJ Moore. So 15th in our mock draft, first pick of the 4th round. That's intriguing to me. And I'll tell you what, I bumped him over Odell since the draft. So regrettably, I should have taken Sutton, I guess. But again, another upside play here.
Well, that's a problem when you get in those live mock drafts. You get overwhelmed. You don't even look at your own list.
No, I just had to. I wanted to talk about Beckham. Sometimes it's about creating content. Sean.
I know. I'm a fellow content creator, Kramer. Number 8 for me, and maybe you're going to give me a bunch of shit here. Who are the New England Patriots throwing to? Give me Julian Edelman.
Oh wow, I didn't see that coming at all.
If you're doing a full point PPR, I mean, what was the biggest knock on Tom Brady last year? Had trouble getting the ball downfield.
Yeah.
Who's great at catching short passes and racking up PPR points?
Yeah.
Julian Edelman coming off a 100 catch season. Now maybe
will his heart be in it though?
And certainly he could be butthurt. But really, can he be that butthurt? Like Belichick's not going to let that go. Like. And maybe he doesn't have that 100 catch, 6 touchdown season that he had last year with Brady, but I certainly think he could have a 90 to 95 catch season. I mean, whether it's Stidham or Hoyer, are they really going to be able to get the ball downfield? It's going to be a lot of James White. And
is it going to be? Who do you think it's going to be, Sean? Who's it going to be?
I gun to my head, I would say Stidham, because I think Belichick kind of went out of his way to endorse Stidham quietly by not bringing anyone else in. And I think they are legitimately high on the kid.
I think he's 100% the guy.
That to me is the move. Now maybe he makes Stidham earn it and they put in Hoyer early. We'll see how camp shakes out. A lot of stuff still up in the air, but Edelman is just a guy that just racks up garbage catches. And I think that's what this offense is going to be. If you thought it was dink and dunk with Tom Brady, imagine the dink and dunk with Stidham. And now, I think I had James White in our mock draft. Sony Michel just had some foot injury. So James White, I'm already looking at putting him in my week 1 DFS lineup because that's a guy who's going to catch you 8-9 balls maybe. And I think he has huge fantasy potential, but along with Julian Edelman, it's just going to be easy catches all day for the Patriots. Who's your number 7?
Well, I think again, this is a high risk pick. And I don't know if I'm going to end up taking him. But Kenny Galladay, I just, the more I'm thinking about it, the more Stafford's going to come back, and Stafford was really digging Galladay. And I mean, when you watch this team play, like last year was such a train wreck, and I know there was distribution with guys like Marvin Jones, but again, he's another guy who, whether you look at the way he plays on the field or the rapport he had with Stafford, even last year with complete dog shit, he caught 65 balls for 1,190 and 11 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I think the touchdown regression may occur, but I think he's going to see more than 116 targets. I think he's going to catch more than 65 balls. And I think he's going to be a number 1 receiver on a team that, sure, they're going to try to run the ball first, but they're going to be down. Like it's Patricia, they're going to be losing, and Stafford can still sling the rock.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see Stafford throw the ball, and assuming he's 100%, they could be a sneaky a team there, especially in fantasy. Kenny Galladay didn't make my top 10, and I don't feel great about that. But and maybe it was just partly my bias of like guys I really wanted to make a point to talk about, and then I put them in the top 10. He's not in my top 10 right now, but certainly maybe I made a mistake there. We'll see. I feel great about this as number 7, and I think I could even be low. This guy could easily be a top 5 in my mind. Allen Robinson.
Really?
Allen Robinson. Why?
You're not standing on an island here for sure.
No,
the industry agrees with
there's
you.
a little bit of Allen Robinson heat, and I'm a part of it. To me, this is this is the perfect receiver for Nick Foles. This is the Alshon Jeffrey, the guy. Who does Nick Foles like to throw it to? He likes to throw it to guys who can go up and get those jump balls. Nick Foles even said, I remember watching the Super Bowl, and he said like his player intros was, well, at the heart of me, I'm a basketball player. It's like, what the fuck? Don't say that in the Super Bowl. And it doesn't instill confidence, but the dude balled out. I mean, remember that ball he threw to Alshon Jeffrey in the Super Bowl, the first touchdown? Jeffrey went up, even with the torn rotator cuff, pulled that thing down en route to beating the Patriots. This is the exact guy, Allen Robinson. This is the perfect guy for Foles. He's a big dude who has a huge vert, goes up and gets the ball. It's also a contract year for Allen Robinson, right? And again, there's not a lot of other receivers around him. Number 2, number 3 receivers. I don't think they're going to be taking targets from him. Certainly, maybe they throw it to the running backs a little bit, tight end. The only way, and I know what you're thinking, what if Mitch stays in there? Even when Mitch was staying in there, and the only way he's going to stay in there is if he's really balling out. And the only way he's going to be balling out is if he's getting Allen Robinson involved. And even with Mitch Trubisky, and that's part of the reason why people are so high on Allen Robinson. They're like, he's had Mitch Trubisky and Blake Bortles as his 2 quarterbacks, and now you get Nick Foles, who
don't forget Christian Hackenberg at college.
Hack was in there, like this is his chance for a breakout year. And even under Mitch Trubisky, he still had 98 catches, 1147, and 7 touchdowns. And I think that can and should go up this season. Yeah, and you throw in the contract here.
There's a bit of subjectivity for me with him. You're right, because he, in many ways, you can apply the same DeAndre Hopkins lens. You can say it doesn't matter who his quarterback is. This dude's going to give you point. He's going to have a nice floor. I just can't. I don't want to get stuck with him. I don't want Allen Robinson to be like my 2nd round pick. I don't want to have to waste a 2nd round pick on a guy who, and sure, he went in the 3rd round actually in our mock draft. But if you're rating him as your number 7 guy, you're liking him at the end of the 2nd round. And I don't think I like him at the end of the 2nd round. Now, all of your points are valid, but I just don't want to get stuck with Mitch Trubisky.
Well, I think what you're saying is get stuck with, because we've watched games with that Bears offense and how frustrating they've been at times. And that's what you're worried about from a fantasy perspective, is having a guy this early on a defense that offense that quite frankly sucks. So to me, it's all about the fact that Nick Foles will be the starting quarterback at some point. However, if Mitch stays in there, it means he's getting Robinson involved and he's doing well. So that's kind of how I hedged it there. Who's your number 6, Kramer?
You make some good points, and I think the consensus guys who he's one of the guys I left out. He was 13 on my list. I don't hate him. And
maybe 7's a little high, but I just wanted to talk about him. The potential is just right there.
Yeah, I think you probably should tell me like what you're going to take Odell over him. Probably not the best call, but yeah, it's something about just getting involved in Allen Robinson's quarterback.
Would you take? Yeah, like I wouldn't take Odell over Allen Robinson.
I think I would. I just don't want Allen Robinson on my team. Number 6, Chris Godwin.
Ooh, okay.
I think we're lockstep here in that we both think that Godwin is going to be the guy. You're not going to hear me say Mike Evans on my top 10 list.
Nope.
He fell in at number 12, a couple spots ahead of Allen Robinson. I think with Godwin.
So you'd rather have Mike Evans over Allen Robinson? That to me is crazy.
They're in the same tier. Probably I would take Allen Robinson over him.
Because Allen Robinson's the clear number 1. Yeah.
I don't know though. I think that Bruce Arians is I like having Bruce Arians and Tom Brady over.
I'm really high on Godwin, but you're saying Evans is clearly the number 2 guy, and maybe it's because
the reason I don't like Evans this year as much as Godwin, and I think Godwin separates himself, is between just watch the way that Evans run. Like the weakest part of Mike Evans's game is his ability to run routes. He's a big time take the top off the defense threat, but you want to look at
that's not Brady's skill set.
My point. You want to look at the guy. I still think he's going to catch them, but you want to look at the guy I like as their clear number 1, and the guy I would take in the 2nd round, maybe 3rd round. That's Chris Godwin. He definitely 2nd round. He's going to be the guy that you see Brady quickly fall in love with. Every receiver who's come through New England who doesn't run crisp routes doesn't do shit, right? Why did Chad Johnson fail?
Doesn't know how to run a route.
Doesn't know how to run a crisp route. And so I think Chris Godwin, whether it be his physical prowess, whether it be his willingness to go over the middle and deal with more of the shorter shit that lines up with what Brady is at this point in his career, I think Godwin, we've been talking about him, it feels like, for 2 full seasons now, about how he's going to emerge. I think this is the year he emerges as the guy. And I think there's going to be a shitload of pass attempts in this offense. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, lots of mouths, lots of opportunity. Number 6, Chris Godwin.
I have Godwin higher, but so I'll kind of save my points for that portion. My number 6, Julio Jones. He's just kind of bread and butter. I mean, you can get cute and not put him in the top 10 or not have him this high, but the guy just.
I like the Falcons' offensive perspectives this year. I dabbled with the idea of Ridley. He's not a guy I have super high, but he's still in my top 20.
But I mean, look at that Atlanta team last year. They were just kind of lethargic on offense, and still 1394 receiving, 6 touchdowns, 99 catches.
He's going to be arguably he's the best receiver ever. Like he's going down that path of, excluding Jerry Rice, excuse me, but he's going down that path of, he's like, if he continues to play, his numbers are just absurd. Per game numbers are absurd.
Especially a little bit of this is factoring in, hey, all things considered, with the shortened off season, whatever training camp looks like, why not go to the guys that are just beasts physically, that have a great connection with their receiver, that also play in a dome? I mean, how many, he gets like what, 9-10 dome games a year.
And I mean, he gets at least his home games plus the Saints. So that's
and
9,
the other, and the other reason is, I just don't. I'm not buying Atlanta's defense. People are talking about Atlanta being like a sneaky team to win the NFC South. I'm not there yet, and a big part is the defense. I'm just skeptical that the defense can actually stop people. So, all that being said, I think they're going to be behind. They're going to be throwing a bunch. Give me Julio Jones. Kramer, who's your number 5?
And I think this is the beginning of the guys you probably need to take. Like if you're sitting with picks 10, 11, 12, now we're talking about receivers, so you probably have to snag there. Probably a first round pick. If you're 10 and you want to get these guys, you might need to go. First guy is Tyreek Hill, and it's just hard. It's hard to leave him out. It's hard to leave him out of the discussion in any format, because he's just going to have games where he wins you the week because he catches 2 touchdowns, 200 yards. He's in the best offense in the league. Sure, there's a Super Bowl hangover. Sure, shit can go wrong. Shit can always go wrong. But as far as a guy who all he's got to do is catch 2 or 3 balls and still have a productive day, that's the guy. I in the back of my head, I have this weird theory that we're going to see Sammy Watkins emerge into the true number 1 there, because of his route running ability, and like Tyreek Hill is a bit of a one-trick pony when it comes down to it, but it's a really good trick.
Exactly.
But yeah, so for me, Tyreek Hill is the first guy who I would consider as a late first round pick. Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I also have Tyreek Hill number 5. Kramer, you nailed it. Even though he missed 4 games last season, in 12 games, still had 7 touchdowns. So he's
and you know what?
He's just short of averaging a touchdown a game.
What differentiates him and the next 4 guys for me is the floor. I think his floor is just much lower.
His floor is low, but again, I don't know, man. That guy is. His Twitter handle is @Cheetah. I mean, what more do you need to know? The guy is just insanely fast. And if you remember, there was a couple plays of I forget who broke it off, but it was like Damian Williams or one of the other receivers broke it off. And this is broke it off for a touchdown. Like there's no defenders anywhere near. And then Tyreek Hill comes running out of nowhere to like escort him in the end zone and pat him on his back. It just shows the insane speed that this guy has. And yeah, maybe the volume isn't there as far as targets and catches. And maybe I'm grading this as full point PPR, but if it's, maybe he's even a little higher in a half point PPR, something like that, because of the catches. But yeah, number 5, Tyreek Hill. Kramer, before we get to our top 5, want to give out my number 1 when it comes to pay-per-head software. That's Ace per head, baby. Thinking about starting your own online sportsbook? You should. It's really easy to do. All you got to do is go to aceperhead.com/SGP. Sign up there. Use our link. You can get up to 6 weeks free. Ace per head, man. Ace is the place. Set you up with the online sportsbook. Very easy. It's literally turnkey. They host the website. They do everything. All the heavy lifting. All you got to do is go to aceperhead.com/SGP. aceperhead.com/SGP. Stop trying to beat the bookie and just become a bookie. Top 4, Kramer. Who's your 4th?
Julio. I think I think you're crazy for not. I think in a draft you would take Julio over Hill. Gun to your head. Maybe not a best ball, but a regular season long. His floor is so goddamn high, and I think he's 4 for me because I do think Ridley is going to start eating into that production a little bit. He's getting up there in age, but I love the offense.
They traded for the tight end Hayden Hurst.
I don't give a shit about
maybe that has some impact on targets.
Hooper was doing just fine. He was on the field 97% or something crazy like that. Julio Jones at 4. I think it probably guarantees that I won't get him, but it also, like another guy, if I'm sitting there at 10, I'm taking Julio probably with my.
Yeah, if you're in the late first round, are you taking Julio? I think he's tough
Julio,
to pass.
I'm taking Julio over Hill, but not over the other guys.
Yeah, I would maybe still go Tyreek Hill, but
and I think as we're doing the running back episode, we can kind of talk more about which running backs we would take him over, because I think that's the real story. You kind of have those blocks in the beginning of the draft where, once you get through your top tiers, like where are you going?
Running back, especially this year, feels very top heavy, where there's like a pocket of guys.
It was just like last year, I think.
Yeah, and then a lot of teams do the whole running back by committee, and you still have to fill 2 running back spots. So a lot to unpack there. My number 4, DeAndre Hopkins. I think the things you're maybe concerned about is new team, new system. Can he get involved? But again, I mean, look at these targets. The target share is insane. The last time he had under 150 targets, Kramer, what year are we talking?
Never.
Well, actually in 2014, he only had 127 targets. After that, he's been 150 plus year after year.
That must have been the Osweiler year.
But even the Osweiler year, like he still had good numbers.
I don't understand how he's fallen into I think I've seen a number of places putting him in a second tier.
Yeah.
Depending on how you do your tiering, whatever, but you can't exclude him from the top tier of guys. I don't see how you exclude him from the top tier of guys when he's joining a team with a worse defense and arguably a more interesting offense. Sure, his quarterback slight downgrade, but does it matter, as you just highlighted?
Yeah, and I think he's a positive touchdown regression candidate. He only had 7 last year on 104 catches. I think that's going to go up.
Well, and he's my number 3 guy, so I'm lockstep here. I'm shocked at how low he's being ranked. I saw some average of like 25 quote fantasy experts. Where do you think that DeAndre Hopkins showed 25 industry experts? Where do you think he showed up averaging? Like ranked in receivers?
11.
No, it was 6 though.
Really?
6th.
That's way too low.
I would have a hard time finding 5 receivers to take before. I mean, that feels ridiculous. I think I would argue he's joining a better opportunity. He's joining a coach that we at least know will say, "Hey, this guy can ball."
It feels like they're going to go out of their way to feature him. He has to be
smarter than Bill O'Brien. We know he lives better than Bill O'Brien with that cush ass mansion he was rolling up in the draft in. But yeah, D Hop is my number 3 guy, and D Hop. Like this is where the tier of after the first, like if I don't love I think there's maybe 5 running backs I love at the beginning of the draft. After that, this is with the tier of receivers where I'm like, oh, I'll just take this guy. So D Hop is one of those guys.
My number 3 for the Green Bay Packers, Davante Adams.
Oh, low.
Only played 12 games, but still had 83 catches, 5 touchdowns. To me, the reason why I like Davante Adams, and everyone's high on him, and Kramer appears from his reaction that I'm low on him actually, but I think the case for Davante Adams is pretty simple in that he's the guy in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, it feels like Davante Adams is going to be his life preserver. He's just going to drop back to pass, throw it to Davante Adams. Fuck you, Matt LaFleur. I'm running my own show. Almost out of spite, I feel like he's going to go out of his way to just feed Davante Adams. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a lot of guys he's close with on the field, but Davante Adams is definitely one of those guys. And they actually seem to have for Rodgers. There's a lot of like, he doesn't speak to his family. There's weird chemistry issues. The only guy who like seems to be friends with him and have a legit connection is Davante Adams. And and for a team and organization that have kind of ostracized him a little bit, whatever that dynamic is, don't you think he's just going to lean in to a guy that he clearly is his support system that has that connection? Kramer, I'm guessing Davante Adams is your number 2 or number 1.
Well, we'll get to that, Sean, because my number 2 is Michael Thomas. Sure. A little bit of a hot take. I don't think it's too hot takey to have either of these guys number 1. I think everyone sees what Michael Thomas just did and is like, well, I think the only way Michael Thomas gets the number 1 is if Drew Brees gets hurt. I think Drew Brees is falling off the cliff this year, and if they don't pull him out into the field and put him down like a good owner, and not someone who's going to let him live in pain and just look like dog shit, I just don't see. I love Michael Thomas. He's great. I've had him on fantasy. He's brought me to the promised land in the FFPC, but I just unwilling to put him ahead of Davante Adams. And maybe I'm foolish. Maybe it's just a weird bias, but I'm just waiting for Drew Brees to fall off the edge. And I also, this kind of goes hand in hand with me liking a Kamara positive regression. So, and I think there's some other players there. So Michael Thomas is great. I see no problem if you want to take him. I've seen him go as high. He went 3rd in our mock draft, Sean. Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
And I think, perhaps it's one of those things where if you like Thomas better than any of the running backs, fucking take him, because his floor is going to be pretty high. I'm just gonna make a personal bet with myself here that he's not going to be the number 1 receiver.
He's not the number 1 receiver on my list, Kramer. He's also the number 2 receiver, Michael Thomas. You brought up a bunch of good points about Drew Brees and his arm strength, but Michael Thomas, that's not his game. The deep ball isn't his game. The deep ball, we've seen Brees struggle with, to the point that they even didn't they bring in Taysom Hill for a Hail Mary? It's just like, God, that's emasculating. You got to let Drew Brees throw that just out of pride. Michael Thomas, for how well he's done in fantasy, where do you think he ranked in deep targets last year?
He didn't have many, I'm guessing, right?
72 in the league, only 9 deep targets, but that's perfect because that's not Brees' strength right now. And in the same way you like Edelman last year in fantasy and even to this year, because you have a quarterback that's not going to push the ball super deep down the field. I think it even helps Michael Thomas's case in fantasy in a weird way that Drew Brees' skill set is diminished and is kind of going down. So yeah, I mean, everything you said about Michael Thomas, I'm on that as well. And
here's the thing. Here's the last bullet point I have, which I'm glad you brought up the points you brought up. But 2017, 149 targets, 104 receptions.
Yeah.
2018, 147 targets, 125 receptions. That's a very high percentage. To your point, perhaps because shorter routes doesn't have all the super long yards per route, but that's pretty consistent. 150. Then he had this crazy surge last year, 185 targets and 149 of those balls were caught for 1,700 yards. I don't think he's averaging 108 yards per game. And I think the fact that Emmanuel Sanders just showed up is going to give them a legit additional target that Brees can launch the ball to. So look, we're splitting hairs, as they say, because at the end of the day, if I'm sitting there at 6 and the top running backs and wide receiver are gone, I'm probably taking Michael Thomas. So not that I hate him, but I just like the other guy a little bit more. My number 1 guy, Davante Adams. You kind of nailed it. You kind of pointed out some reasons why you'd maybe want to take him, because Aaron trusts him. Aaron likes to throw to guys he trusts. Strange anomaly last year. To your point about the touchdown regression, Davante Adams saw something. I don't have the exact number, but I believe it's like 50% of the red zone targets. He only saw. I want to give the exact number of red zone targets. He only saw last year 21 targets in the red zone. So that combined with this, the guy is a touchdown machine. He scored 10 plus touchdowns 3 straight years leading up to last year. Where how many touchdowns did he score, Sean? 5. So when you go from scoring 35 touchdowns over 3 seasons and then scoring 5, however you want to break down the numbers, there's going to be positive regression. Sure. Now the counter argument would be, well, Matt LaFleur wants to run the ball more. That's fine. I still think that Davante Adams will see more touchdown red zone targets, which will lead to more touchdowns. Now, if he only gets 4 more touchdowns, that's still how many points, Sean? 24 points. That's a big difference. And if you put him back on the field for all 16 games, I think this is going to be one of those situations where we're going to look back on this and we're going to be like, wow, that was really weird that first season when LaFleur forgot that Aaron Rodgers was a beast. And I think we're going to see it happen this year because I think, to your consistent point about the lack of an off-season preparation, I think Aaron Rodgers is probably texting LaFleur on a daily basis. Like, dude, let's just throw some of this shit. Like me and him got good rapport. How about we just call Alpha? And every time I say Alpha, I'm just going to throw him a back shoulder. Like, cause that's the way there were games where all of a sudden it looked like Aaron Rodgers like stopped listening to the radio in his helmet and was just going back shoulder.
And that's why I'm high on him again this year. It seems like what that switch of like, I'm going to do my own thing. That to me leads to Aaron Rodgers getting a lot more balls to Davante Adams. It's just that simple. Kramer, in our tradition here of shocking number one fantasy football
Michael
receivers.
Thomas?
No, I already.
I'm just kidding.
Michael Thomas was number 2. Number 1 on my list, Penn State grad Chris Godwin.
Wow.
I'm just letting that sink in. Godwin, to me, it's going to be game on with him and Brady. The more I've thought about it, and I kind of squeezed Gronk into the tight end episode, but that's just because he's a close personal friend. But Godwin he has the makeup of being a guy that Tom is really gonna like. And I was trying to like do a little more like digging around for any sort of, as a gut handicapper, I like to kind of find the emotional angles, the stuff behind the scenes that isn't just numbers. And I came across the news story. You know who had number 12 before Tom Brady came to Tampa Bay? That's right, Chris Godwin. You know who was hesitant to give it up at first, but then he realized Tom Brady, he's the GOAT. You got to give it up to him. And he told him, he's like, hey, I'm going to give this to you. You got to get me a ring back. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So I think there's already a connection with Godwin, a brewing there with Brady. And man, also like Arians loves him. And he's coming off like he's had a nice transition in his career. 34 catches, 59, 86. But really the touchdowns 1 to 7 to 9. Like and coming back to this Tampa Bay defense still sucks to me. I think we're gonna see a similar offense that we saw in when Jameson Winston was there, in that it's like they just throw it all the time because they have to, because they're gonna be down. And can you imagine a better quarterback to have going against like lax prevent coverage than Tom Brady?
No.
And an awesome route runner and Chris Godwin. Like I just think the ceiling's way too high not to roll the dice and put him number 1. And he's a guy. What's his ADP? It's probably like what, 9 or 10, 11.
I think a little bit the secret's out. I mean, he went right after Mike Evans, number 7 in our mock draft.
Okay.
According to
can you get him in the 3rd round?
Fantasy Pros consensus number 6.
Oh, okay, so maybe people aren't as down on him as I thought.
I would say this to add to your pile on. Bruce Arians quote about him before last season. I think Chris Godwin is going to be close to a 100 catch guy. That's not important, especially because I think he can play in the slot. He's never going to come off the field.
The slot. How's the slot?
I mean, again, when your coach is saying that about you,
and Arians seems like a pretty straight shooter. Like he's a guy who just tells it like it is, and to probably to his own detriment, and clearly wasn't happy with Jameson Winston there for a little while. I just can't imagine they're not going to go out of their way to really feature Chris Godwin this year, and I think he's going to take advantage of it. And to your point, just coming back to the route running, the guys who are awesome route runners, those are the guys that are really going to benefit from this shortened off season where you can do less stuff with scheme, and you got to rely on just being able to run a great 9, a great 0, whatever the route is.
Yeah,
a guy who just can plant his foot, get open, and make a easy pitch and catch with Tom Brady.
It's always odd to me, the guys who Tom Brady finds to have like a rapport with. It's never the guys you would expect. Like the fact that him and Randy Moss knocked it off just shows you the kind of player Randy Moss really was. Because there's been a lot of talented wide receiver bust out of New England,
and you could make an argument there. Chris Godwin, who has been a better receiver for Tom Brady since Randy Moss than Chris Godwin?
Oh, you mean like from pure physical ability?
Yeah,
N'Keal Harris. I mean, it's probably
N'Keal Harry.
N'Keal Harry. What did I say? Harris. N'Keal Harry, the first rounder last year, was probably the most physically gifted receiver. Other than Gronk, obviously.
But he just couldn't figure it out.
Do we dare say Aaron Hernandez? From a talent perspective, yeah. But I hear you. I think Brady in general is getting some toys that he hasn't necessarily
a baby fucking wheel, man.
gotten to play with before. He has like legit athletic ability and size. Like Godwin and Evans and Howard and Gronk. That's the other thing. They're all big fucking dudes. The real catch here is like figure out which guy is gonna be the James White who can play in the slot, who can play out of the backfield. Is that going to be Dare Abugali or whatever his name is?
Yeah, I mean,
someone is going to fill the role of the slot safety valve running back.
Yeah,
and it might not be Gronk or Howard or Evans or Godwin.
It could be a running back, and we could see a Tampa Bay Buck running back in the top 10. Although I don't know, the Arians offense, offense just doesn't lend itself to that.
Anyway, we got to get to some business, Sean.
Yes, we got to do the play-by-play for the college football final night here, and more Sims on the way. Of course, go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/ATC. Sign up for the football tournament. We're calling it as generic as it sounds. Just dudes talking football. #TFT.
Hell yeah!
Get involved. And again, those are of course 2020 lineups, and we're giving away $10,000 in my bookie credits. One more shout out to Cushy Dreams. Head over to cushydreams.com. Promo code SGP. Smokable CBD. Legal to ship in all 50 states. 15% off with that promo code. Kramer, looking forward to just keep talking football here.
Is that what we get to do?
Yeah, that's what we get to do here.
Management's okay with
participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
And for the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
Good luck to your Chris Godwin prediction, Sean.
Kramer, let it ride.